You know those times in your life where nothing is technically wrong, but you still feel unmotivated, anxious, disconnected, or mentally drained? You may wake up tired, feel like your focus is scattered, and things that usually excite you just suddenly feel flat. The strange part is you might even think, I should be grateful for what I have, so why do I feel this way? It's easy to assume that this is a mindset problem that just requires more discipline, more positivity, or more gratitude. But what if the real issue isn't your mindset at all? What if your environment is quietly disrupting the four chemicals in your brain that regulate motivation, mood, connection, and resilience? Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. In my previous video, I explained what these chemicals actually do, but in this episode, I want to explore something just as important: why modern life is pushing these brain chemicals out of balance without you even realizing it. Because once you understand what's happening, you'll start seeing your habits, your environment, and even your emotions in a completely different way. And by the end of this video, you'll see how one simple daily habit can influence all four chemicals at once. So let's start with the first chemical that modern life is heavily influencing: dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical responsible for your motivation, reward, and overall drive. It's the reason you pursue goals and feel satisfaction after accomplishing something meaningful. But here's the thing most people misunderstand: dopamine isn't really about pleasure, it's about anticipation. Your brain releases dopamine when it expects a reward. The anticipation itself is what fuels curiosity, ambition, and progress. But modern life has quietly changed how this system works. Today, digital devices have become vending machines for endless dopamine. Every notification, social media like, or new video recommendation, each one serves us a tiny, unpredictable reward that we anticipate. And your brain loves unpredictable rewards. In psychology, this is called a variable reward system, which is the same mechanism used in casinos. And this is where the negative effects begin to be noticeable. Scrolling feels easy, but focusing on meaningful work feels harder. Your brain slowly becomes conditioned to expect quick stimulation instead of deeper rewards. So the reward system has literally adapted to the new normal of constant stimulation. You can think of it like getting used to eating junk food all day. If you do this, then eating healthy meals will suddenly feel bland in comparison. It's not because the meal is bad, but because your taste buds have become accustomed to the ultra-processed foods instead. The same thing happens with dopamine. And this is why many people today feel mentally busy, yet at the end of the day feel like they didn't accomplish anything meaningful. But dopamine is only one part of the equation, because motivation alone doesn't determine how stable your mood feels. It involves another chemical, which is serotonin. Serotonin is known as the mood stabilizer of the brain. It helps regulate your mood, sleep, appetite, and emotional balance. When serotonin levels are healthy, you tend to feel calmer and more resilient to stress. But here's something that can easily get overlooked. Serotonin is heavily influenced by your lifestyle. Things like sunlight exposure, sleep quality, nutrition, gut health, and physical movement. When you look at how many people live today, it's easy to understand why serotonin imbalance has become more and more common. Many of us spend a huge portion of our days indoors, sitting for long periods, sleeping irregular hours, and eating diets with ultra-processed ingredients. And I've definitely been guilty of this too. What you have to realize is these things don't break your brain chemistry right away, but over time, they slowly and gradually shift your baseline. This is why you might notice a difference when you travel or spend more time outside. Your mood improves, your sleep gets better, and you just feel calmer. Sometimes people assume it's simply because they're on vacation, but a big reason is because their lifestyle temporarily supports better serotonin balance due to more sunlight, more movement, and less stress. And your brain responds accordingly. By the way, if you enjoy topics like this, I send out a free weekly mindset newsletter. Each week, I unpack the neuroscience and psychology behind patterns like overthinking, people pleasing, emotional intelligence, and identity shifting. I essentially translate these ideas into simple mental frameworks so you can apply them into your daily life. If this sounds interesting, you can join using the link in the description below. But serotonin on its own doesn't explain another experience many people report today, a growing sense of loneliness or emotional disconnection. For this, we have to look at oxytocin. Oxytocin is often called the love or bonding chemical. It's what helps to regulate trust, connection, and emotional closeness. Your brain releases oxytocin during experiences like meaningful conversations, shared laughter, physical touch, or emotional vulnerability. Historically, humans experienced these moments more frequently because communities were tighter, families spent more time together, and social interactions tended to be more organic. But things have changed, obviously. People today are more digitally connected than ever, and at the same time feel more emotionally disconnected. Text messages have replaced conversations. Social media has created shared experiences that are actually intangible, and remote work has reduced daily interaction for many of us. And don't get me wrong, technology has brought incredible benefits, but oxytocin thrives on the presence of real human connection. Things like eye contact, shared laughter, physical proximity, or meaningful conversation. Without these signals, the brain has fewer opportunities to release bonding chemistry. So, what this means is that someone can be socially connected online and still feel emotionally distant simultaneously. This is one reason why loneliness today doesn't always come from isolation. It comes from the absence of deep and meaningful connections. And when oxytocin decreases, stress levels tend to rise, which brings us to the fourth and last chemical, endorphins. Endorphins act as your body's natural painkillers. They help reduce physical discomfort and regulate emotional stress. One of the strongest triggers for endorphins is physical movement. Things like running, dancing, walking, and even laughter. If you think about the feeling you get after a solid workout, your mind feels clearer, your stress feels lower, and your mood just feels lighter. To me, it's clear evidence that your endorphins are working as intended. But modern life has quietly removed a lot of the natural triggers for this system. Many people spend long hours sitting, where a sedentary lifestyle has become the norm. Movement has become optional instead of necessary. And when physical activity decreases, endorphin production often decreases with it. This means stress can start to feel heavier, which causes challenges to become more overwhelming. And this can also lead to lowering your overall emotional resilience. But here's the real kicker. These four chemicals don't operate independently. Instead, they operate more like an ecosystem. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins are often explained individually, but in reality, they are constantly influencing each other. When you think of your brain and body as an environment, then it's easy to see how one chemical can have a knock-on effect on another, ultimately helping to cultivate this entire ecosystem. For example, when you exercise, it creates a positive feedback loop that goes something like this. Movement releases endorphins. Endorphins reduce your stress. Lower stress improves serotonin balance. Higher serotonin levels stabilize your mood. Feeling stable makes it easier to take action, and then taking action boosts your dopamine. And to add to this, if you exercise with friends, you may also trigger oxytocin. Essentially, one simple habit can activate multiple chemical systems at once. This is why small lifestyle changes can create surprisingly powerful improvements to your overall mood, simply by virtue of the system being interconnected. When one chemical improves, it has a ripple effect across to the others. But here's something to be aware of. The opposite is also true. When one system becomes imbalanced, it can gradually influence the rest. From personal experience, I can tell you that your brain chemistry isn't fixed. It's constantly adapting to the way you live your life. This boils down to your habits, your environment, your routines, and your relationships. All of these things send signals to your brain about how it should regulate motivation, mood, connection, and resilience, which means improving brain chemistry rarely requires one dramatic change. Instead, it's usually about consistent small behaviors. Things like getting sunlight early in the day, moving your body regularly, reducing constant digital stimulation, spending quality time with people, and getting enough sleep. These habits might sound simple, but they directly influence the rebalancing of the four chemical systems that alter your overall happiness. And when these systems begin to rebalance, something powerful happens. Your ability to be motivated feels easier. Stress becomes more manageable, and your sense of connection starts to feel deeper. Oh, yeah, and your overall level of energy gradually returns. So, here's my question to you. Out of the four chemicals we have talked about today, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins, which one do you think your lifestyle supports the least right now? Is it motivation, mood, connection, or movement? Let me know in the comments section below. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Dexter, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.